Hello everyone, welcome back. This episode here, I'm going to go over some of the technical analysis and talk about some other stuff here. So before I go on to that, let's go over some interesting news coming up. Of course, you all know about the IRS guidelines on how to tax your Bitcoin. And in this particular article here, Business Insider by this author, it talks about it, and I recently spoke to my accountant, or my tax guy, I'll call him that, and as they put out these guidelines like 2 weeks before, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks before the due date of filing your taxes, I mean, he's already pulling his hair out. But anyways, as I spoke to my tax guy and I'm reading this, there's some truth into all this stuff. The amount of paperwork, record keeping is going to be absurd for some people, okay? And that may bog down people who wish to use Bitcoin. But this is kind of interesting because it's a two-way street when it comes to reporting. I'm probably going to have probably over 100 pages of transactions. Alright? And if the IRS wants a transaction report, they're going to get over 100 pages from me. And since I deal in the physical world, when I transact, I do some exchange trading and all that stuff too. They'll get a report on that. But the physical, my real world trades, they'll get something too on that. But it's going to be over 100 pages. And the way I'm keeping track of my transactions, believe it or not, are my bank statements. My bank statements reflect transactions. They may not reflect Bitcoin transactions. They're recording a currency transaction. And because I'm buying in U.S. dollars and selling in U.S. dollars, essentially my bank statement becomes a transaction report. Because as I looked over some of the guidelines, it never says Bitcoin will be, as far as I know, the IRS is not accepting Bitcoin as payment. I don't know if the IRS considers, I'm not sure how they view Bitcoins, but as far as I know, what they want to see is monetary, legal currency transactions. So when you, like for example, here, there it is. If you pay a person, this sentence in particular that this author wrote here, if you pay anyone in Bitcoin, you must file a W-2. Now, the W-2 is not going to say I gave him 1.2 Bitcoins. The W-2 is going to say I gave him, $1,000 in value of Bitcoin. So they're looking for, a monetary currency value. Well, guess what? My bank does that. They transact all deposits, payments for Bitcoin. They also transact, they keep a record of my withdrawals, which are also my payment to purchase Bitcoins. So basically, I don't know how I'm going to do this. My tax guy is going, how much do you do? And when I told him how much I do on a per daily basis, he didn't know what to say. He just kind of did this for a while, and then said, well, you're probably going to do at least 50 pages worth of transaction reports. So I'm not going to do 50 pages worth of transaction reports. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, for the most part, basically give them numbers from my bank, or if they want to see my bank statements for which I'm trading from, because I'm trading real money, I mean real currency, real legal tender for Bitcoins. And so, I'm sure the IRS, I don't know if they intended to do this or if they didn't intend to do this, but, they're going to be getting like boxes from me. They're not going to get an envelope. You guys are going to get boxes and boxes and boxes of transaction reports, a year's worth. And all I can say is I filed my taxes. How much work you guys want to do, it's up to you. But then again, as I scroll down here and I look at the, how is virtual currency treated for federal tax purposes? For federal tax purposes, just for taxing purposes, virtual currency is treated as property. I think after a few years after getting boxes and boxes full of transaction reports, I think they're going to conclude that this is way too much work for them to deal with this. And they may just go to something specific for virtual currencies, in my opinion. I mean, it's going to get ridiculous. Really, really, really ridiculous. I mean, just as much as paperwork burden is put on me, which I've already kind of saw this coming a little bit. I'm basically going to give you my bank statements as proof of transaction report. Okay, it will not tell you how much Bitcoins I bought or anything, because in my opinion, IRS doesn't really care about your Bitcoins, but they do care about the legal tender value of those Bitcoins. So what better way to actually give them an actual legal tender value to show my transactions? I'm just saying. I think they would appreciate that. I don't know if they would appreciate it. I think they would recognize that as proof, but I don't know if they would appreciate it, because I'm going to be sending them boxes and boxes and boxes full of paperwork. I mean, I'm not joking. I'm going to be sending you guys boxes of my return. It's going to cost me at least $500 at least to send my tax returns to the IRS now, instead of paying, whatever. I don't know. Actually, we're not going to be sending boxes and boxes full. What's really going to happen? I'm just joking. Well, I could if I wanted to physically send it. But what's really going to happen is I'm going to electronically file. They're going to get a dump of data, and some poor schmuck at the IRS is going to have to go through all that data. Or what they'll probably most likely do is just take my reporting at face value, and they'll look at the bottom line. They'll go, X amount of dollars was put in, X amount of dollars was put out. But the problem is the way they made it, treated for federal tax purposes as property, and on top of that, let me see specifically, so that truly their hands are kind of tied, I have to admit, because it can't virtual currency treated, no, under currently applicable laws, virtual currencies cannot be treated as currencies. All right, and that's kind of why they've chosen this route of reporting each transaction. We have to report each transaction. I mean, do you not realize? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they realize, but their hands are tied, because even the IRS has to follow the rule of law, right? So, I'm going to be sending files and files. I mean, my electronic filing is going to be so ridiculous. At some point, they're going to change it. They're going to go, this is costing way too much money and way too much of our time. All right, to do this, we're going to simplify. We're gonna have to make a new tax code just for virtual currencies. I think for now, but this is the way they've chosen to do it. I think it's just an experiment on their end too. At some point, they're gonna have to do something because some poor schmuck or schmuckette, it could be male, female, all right, is gonna have to sit down and just go through data after data after data of transaction reports, just to see if I filed my taxes right. And this is gonna blow their minds. This is literally gonna blow their mind. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say at all. On my end, I mean, it's gonna be a hassle for me, but you know what? I'm gonna do the best I can. But it's gonna be a hell of a hassle for these guys because they're gonna be looking at everything, and you know, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it goes. You know, I'm not gonna file anything for last year because I barely did anything to even bother reporting, and if I did report it, it would be reported as loss anyway. So because I got scammed. Most of my activity will be for 2014, so it gives me an ample time. I've already spoken in general, but my tax guy is too busy. He's got to file my taxes and probably lots of other people's taxes for 2013. But after April, I may have to do a face-to-face with him, and unfortunately he's still in California and I'm in Texas, so I'll probably have to go there and kind of just talk to him face to face, and it's going to be for probably a couple hours on how I'm going to do this. In any case, there's a guideline. All right, they said something. It kind of sucks that they would say something, you know, a few weeks before the deadline. Of course, everyone can push it back another 6 months if they opted to extend their filing. But you know, it's quite a burden to just come out a couple weeks before the deadline to do this. So it would have been nice if they came out like beginning of the year and said, this is what we're gonna do, so everybody just, you know, keep track of your transactions. But they didn't. So just want to go over that, and then some other stuff here that I wanted to go over before going to the charts was again, who is Satoshi Nakamoto, mysterious Bitcoin founder? And, you know, this is all part of the Bitcoin trade here, and you know, I was looking at this because, you know, it's such a mystery and it's so intriguing. But what caught my eye was this in particular right here. Let me see if I can highlight that. Oh no, I don't want to highlight everything. Let me see here. This particular link here, and it takes you to the original, I guess, paper. So I actually have never ever read that paper. I've never ever seen it, never ever looked at it. I just accepted Bitcoin. So I said to myself, well, you know, maybe it's time for me to take a look at it, and here it is. Okay, here it is. And if any of you haven't seen it, it's not a big deal. I was just curious to read it because I wanted to know, you know, the original, the creator or creators, Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever they are, or him or her, I don't know. Okay. You know, I wanted to get a better idea on you know, their thoughts, their original design, their original thoughts about Bitcoin. A couple things have, you know, as I'm reading this, a couple things come up to a couple things I picked up on, and the original sentence: a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another party without going through a financial institution. Now, in some senses, that is true if you only dealt with Bitcoin. So if you wanted someone to pay in Bitcoin, you know, Bitcoin to Bitcoin, Bitcoin to Litecoin, something like that, absolutely. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't do that a lot of people trade Bitcoin for a legal tender, which happens to be a financial institution. So not quite what their original intent, not in the way that I'm using it anyway, and definitely not in the way that it's turned out to be. So there's that, and then it goes on to say digital signatures provide part of the solution, but the main benefit are lost if a trusted third party is still required to prevent double spending, blah blah blah. Okay, let me find out where okay. I lost track of one particular quote that I wanted to mention. Let's see if I can find it. Well, anyways, there's some, the original purpose and the intent and everything. It seems pretty simple. It seems very simple, but obviously it's not the case today. What the purpose of it, what it would do, how it would change the world. Obviously, this was from reading this. And I haven't read the whole thing. A lot of it's just computer gibberish to me, because I'm not a dork or a nerd or a geek or anything like that. Nothing wrong with being a dork or geek or anything. I think thanks to all those smart people out there, I have a computer. But I'm looking more for not the technical aspects of Bitcoin, but the human aspect of Bitcoin. So no matter how nerdy, dorky, or smart, or the opposite, how stupid you are, or whatever, there's always a trace of humanity when you do something. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the person. I'm not looking for this white paper. I'm actually trying to understand the person or the people. And there was a quote in here or something. So anyway, I lost it. But let me go down here. I mean, all this is just gibberish to me. Like when I look at some of this, let me see here. Like when I see this, obviously there's some computer engineering going on, computer science kind of engineering going on, or some sort of engineer, because only like an engineer or someone in this kind of field of engineering, computer science, would take the time to do this. Like literally. And more stuff like this. Like, I'm looking at this and it's just gibberish to me. More gibberish. More gibberish. Gibberish. Like when I look at this, I'm going, wow. Gibberish. I mean, to me. Okay, I'm not saying it is gibberish. I'm looking at it going, I've never seen this before. So I'm going, wow, gibberish. And look, more gibberish. Yes, more gibberish. And more gibberish. And then they get really mathematical here and whatever this is. And to me, that's gibberish. Like, look at this. Gibberish. So obviously whoever wrote this up is knowledgeable, probably educated, knows enough to write this stuff up. I don't even know what this is, but that's all right. I don't have to know what it is. I just have to use it to my advantage, right? And then some computer coding, whatever. I guess I'm not sure. So some computer language, some engineering skills, some total engineer. Like when I look at this, I'm going, wow, total engineer. This is only an engineer would really bother to write any of this stuff down like this. And then conclusion. All right, here it is. This is the most strangest thing. I finally I didn't read all of it, but I wanted to read the part, not the technical part, but I wanted to read the part of the beginning. I wanted to read the beginning paragraph and the end paragraph because those are the parts where I think we can understand the person behind Bitcoin, who created the software, the Bitcoin, whatever it is, this concept. I want to know more about the person or people than the technical aspects. And I have to admit, I'm a little dumbfounded, not on the technical aspect, but as I'm reading this, we have proposed a system of electronic transaction without relying on trust. And when I read that, I'm like, wow, this person was totally wrong. Not, I've been dealing in Bitcoin here for not a long time, but like I said, 1 month in trading Bitcoin is like 1 year, And when I read that, I'm like, wow, their conclusion was totally wrong, in my opinion. Or not in the way, maybe that sentence directly doesn't mean what it means. They're probably talking about without using a financial institution, a third-party financial institution. But even then, that was wrong, in my opinion. So as I'm reading this, I'm going, wow, these people had no idea what they created. They really didn't. I mean, they created something, but their intentions and their purpose was totally off, in my opinion. The sentence alone, we have proposed a system of electronic transactions without relying on trust. I have to say that's 100% bullshit. What they've done is, in my opinion, what they've done here is they've really created something that you have to have trust. You have to have trust. The nice part is it is a peer-to-peer. That's true. It does prevent double spending. I mean, it does a lot of things. But this beginning sentence, as they chose to open this beginning sentence part right here about that blows me away, because that's not what's happened. In my experience, is it has come to a point where you can only transact with people you trust, or transact with people who can take that leap of faith and trust somebody with Bitcoin transactions. Literally, you have to trust somebody, and you have to build that trust. I don't know. So this conclusion and this, it tells me a lot about the creators and their human aspect, not the science technical aspect or anything, because that's all gibberish to me. I'm looking at the words that came out of a mind of creator of Bitcoin. This is what they wrote, or what he or she wrote. This is what I'll just say Satoshi Nakamoto. This is what Satoshi Nakamoto wrote. And I don't know. From what I read, in my opinion, they really didn't know what they were creating at the time. I mean, I think they had some good intentions. They wanted to do something like this, but what they created is now totally different from, in my opinion, totally different from what Bitcoin is and what Bitcoin can be now. And Bitcoin is, I guess it's one of those things that someone invented to, do something, and every invention has a good and dark side. Every invention. And it's not because of the invention itself, it's because of the people who utilize that invention for their purposes. And so, obviously this person, the creator, had this purpose in mind, that we would be able to transact without relying on trust. I don't need to trust you or me. I just send you something, there you go. But at the same time, I don't, when you transact, it takes two. It takes two to tango. Unless you're just giving. If you're just giving, then of course you don't have to rely on trust. You just have to give it. But if you're expecting something in return, or if you're exchanging something, you're always going to need trust, always. So in this aspect, some of the things that Satoshi Nakamoto is talking about is in my opinion wrong. This is kind of surprising to me because I've never read this, and now that I've read it, I'm like, wow, what a revelation! This is truly a revelation to me. So, anyways, I guess that concludes this portion of my episode. Let's go to a chart analysis now. That's all you've been waiting for, really. So what we see here is that it hit against the resistance, came back down. So as I'm kind of expecting, for this thing to bounce around, quite often. But it's getting squeezed. You see the range in price is getting smaller and smaller, and at some point I think there's going to be a move. And this has been a really good support so far, and the other support has been right here. So it can continually just go down, go down, go down until it hits this support to break out again. Or it can, or even at this support, because it seems like there's a lot of support here at this level. And as this triangle is getting smaller and smaller, it's literally just getting squeezed and squeezed, and there's pressure being built up. And from the past, I can tell, like, as this triangle was getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, there was a pressure to being built up, and it shot up. And then you're seeing it again. Doesn't mean it's going to shoot up. I mean, it can also shoot down. So as this pressure just keeps going, people are going to have to make a decision on how they're going to position themselves for a up or a down. So you're going to buy Bitcoins, or you're going to be selling your Bitcoins. And, so far this has been a good support. If people have been buying on the support areas, obviously they're positioning themselves for an up. And now, if you're following this line, and every time it hits up here, you're selling. Every time it hits, you're selling. You're positioning yourself for a down, of course. That would make sense, right? So I had to redraw. I had to restart my computer and everything, so I had to redraw these lines. So these are new lines, but obviously they're going to be almost identical from the last time. That was Bitstamp and on a 6 hour. Okay, everyone sees that? Bitstamp on a 6 hour. And here's BitC. And BitC has a totally different scenario going on here. Let me back out a little bit more if anybody wants to see that. Okay, so it has a total different scenario, and that's what I like about Bitcoin and all the different exchanges, is that as a whole, they'll tell you some good information. Individually, they're all a little different. And so here's the price here, and of course it's pretty much done the same thing. It's bounced right on in this triangle here, and there's going to be some pressure, and it looks like there's a lot of pressure. The pressure is going down now, but doesn't mean it's going to break through. If you see this break through, it's anticipate a downward trend, probably falling along this line, or even sometimes even violent. It'll just violently go and then pop back up, like something like this, violently down, and a lot of buyers buy up. So I can't predict, I can't forecast anything. I mean, I'm just letting you know my opinions on this, so maybe it'll give you some ideas. And then Bitfin here, very similar. Of course, the difference between all those other charts is that on Bitfin, this is the hard line. This is the hard line resistance, the very long downtrending resistance that it's been following for the most part. And so, and if you look at the way I set these up, I mean, it is so perfectly or looks perfectly straight, and then it's more cleaner on Bitfin is what I've noticed. And if you look, I mean, it's just reacting in that way as well. Of course, these are all new lines too. Remember that, so that's why it looks like it like on the dot. But in any case, big buying opportunities here for anyone who wants to take a chance. Another buying opportunity here, anyone who wants to take a chance. So anyways, so Bitfin's really showing to the T, in my opinion. And then good old, of course, I got to talk about Coinbase because Coinbase is very important because I think there's a lot of people in the U.S. and they all own U.S. dollars. And at some point, you know, I think mainly due to Mt. Gox collapsing and some other exchanges are starting to collapse, people are moving away to the larger exchanges because they feel a little bit more comfortable in the liquidity and because there's more money at these larger exchanges, you think that there's more security or more protection. I don't know if there really is. It's just a perception. You know, more money. They got more money, so they must have more security features, or they, you know, maybe there are some people on it. But if you looked at Mt. Gox was one of the biggest, and you know, they had really poor security apparently. So, but anyways, Coinbase, in my opinion, is very secure. Plus, they're in America, and I've seen some of the interviews with a few of the owners, and my confidence in Coinbase is pretty high. Of course, that's my opinion, my confidence. You know, are they really that safe? I don't know. I mean, if you think about what can happen, is the world really safe? I mean, we can get hit by an asteroid, we can a huge earthquake, you know, whatever. End of the world. What are some end of the world scenarios? Magnetic shift. The magnetic field shifts and turns over. The world turns over. What else? Tsunamis and whatever, earthquakes, volcanoes, blah blah blah. Doomsday scenario. So, you know, the world's not that safe, but at least you can have confidence in the world that it is safe, right? So that's what I have. Confidence that Coinbase is a safe place to have your Bitcoins. And also liquidity as well, because I know for a fact, because I've tested it out, that, you know, if you cash out your Bitcoins to legal tender, they'll do it. They've done it for me several times. I've also bought from Coinbase, so they'll take it out from my bank account and do it that way. So confidence in Coinbase is pretty high, you know. So there's your scenario with that, doing the same thing, not quite exactly, but, you know, almost following to the T. So as pressure builds up, if you're going to play, you know, a range trade, ideally, you know, if it hits the top, you're going to be selling. As it hits on the bottom, you're going to be buying. Then as it hits this again, you're going to be selling. But you got to realize as this triangle gets smaller, there's not enough margin here for you to make any money eventually. Eventually it'd be so small. It's like now you got to take a position for a long or a short, or just not play. Just say, okay, I'm going to wait it out. Or if you already have a certain amount of Bitcoins, you know, you're going to wait it out, and you know, these Bitcoins that you have here in a certain position, you know that these are all profited Bitcoins from your trading gains, right? And that you'll take a risk. You know, you'll hold on to those Bitcoins and see if it goes up. If it goes down, well, you know, it was all profit anyway. You know, profit gain Bitcoin through trading. That you'll just, you know, you'll let it ride down because, you know, it's in the long run. In the long run, it's just gonna go back up again. So you know, some people are like that. You know, they just buy the Bitcoins. They don't even trade them. They just buy them, and they just sit on them. They may take them out from time to time to maybe buy something. There's a lot of people like that. You know, so however you want to play it. And then, you know what? I didn't have the average moving, but I don't think we have to go into the moving averages because obviously this has been showing um, in reaction to lines and channels and stuff like that. So although you can look at the average, if you look at the average of these here, you know, they don't have to be like weighted average. If you can just do a simple average and know that that this point has not crossed on a 6-hour basis. Um, but you know, obviously it wouldn't be, it'd be crossing down if you go into any smaller time frame. But anyways, there is a good opportunity to make a buy here, because if it does break up and out of this, it's going to do it. You'll do it at a much lower price anyway. So anyway, that's the chart analysis today. This is the time. Let me see if there's a time. There you go. And unfortunately, I got since I restarted my computer, I got this stupid dumb ad coming up again. I mean, if you don't want it, you can just pay them or donate to them, and they'll get rid of it. But you know, I figure why not? I'm always interested in what's it say? Discover the true dating experience of Japan. Okay, yeah, sure, why not? Why not? I'm already married to a Japanese woman, but sure, another Japanese woman doesn't hurt. And here's another one: roll over your IRA or 401k into gold. I'm gonna help these guys out and do some free marketing for them here. Oh, here's another one, same thing. Japanese women. I guess Japanese women are hot these days. Here you go, Merrill Edge Trading. So you get a little annoying ads like this, but you know what? This is free. And believe it or not, this tremendously, it's a wealth of information. Not bad for being free, just to put up with some ads, you know. So, and look at all this free data you get. It's amazing, and it's free. Matter of fact, I think I should donate some bitcoins to them, or maybe I should pay up, because I do use them quite a bit, and then again I also advertise for them. See, look at that. Bitcoin wisdom, everyone. All right. Anyways, that concludes this episode. Okay, this is Bitstamp. So like, dislike. What else can you do? Like, dislike. Oh, leave a comment. Even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned.